Hey guys, Poohhead here, and for those of you who saw my last update video on the Amazon Lord of the Rings series, I want to say two things. First, I apologize. I posted the video based upon all the information we had been given and made speculation accordingly, and it seemed like only a week or two passed before the video was made obsolete by the new information from the maps. And two, fuck me, I guess, because as I just said, the new info we have been given the past 2 weeks completely contradicts everything that we've been told through reports about the series. However, I am relieved in a few respects. It's very smart of Amazon to focus on a time in Middle-earth that doesn't kind of strong-arm the timeline of the movies or make changes to the characters we know and love from the cinema. Lord knows YouTubers, myself included, would scrutinize their portrayal of established characters relentlessly if they were used in the new series. And while I believe that people can definitely be too harsh, it is also something inherently correct to feel if a fan is disappointed with how a series treats a character or story they love and bypass the, for lack of a better term, honor and respect of a character simply to pander to people for money. As you know, this is not a news channel. This is a channel about lore, so I won't go into too much detail over the recent news, but just to give a quick recap for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. Amazon has revealed that their new Lord of the Rings series will be set in the Second Age of Middle-earth, before the downfall of Numenor, at the height of the power of both the dwarves and the Noldor elves. So now let's discuss a few problems with how they are reportedly going to use the series. For one, if this is set up in the Second Age, Gandalf should not be present, and yet as far as I know, Amazon was wanting Ian McKellen to reprise his role as Gandalf. You see, the wizards did not arrive in Middle-earth until the Third Age, so unless we're using Gandalf as a narrator, he cannot and should not be there. He doesn't show up for thousands of years. Now, I know we're diving deep into stuff, but let's talk about a very sensitive subject, and one that really divides people, and that's pandering. And by pandering, I mean giving certain people something that would make them happy even if it is fundamentally incorrect. Bringing politics or recent fads or gender issues into an already established universe, for instance. Making references that make no sense. Now, of course, a lot of people will not listen to what I just said, and will only focus on what I am about to say, which is, Amazon is reportedly adding dark-skinned elves, and I do not agree with that decision. Now, before people grab the pitchforks, allow me to explain why, and at the end of this you'll be happy because I will mention something we can both agree on. So, firstly, the main argument that people use to justify dark-skinned elves is the Hermione argument, which is the author never specified the skin color of the person or race, and so therefore they can be any sort of skin color. That is correct until a point. I do believe Tolkien did describe some elves as fair-skinned, but he did not describe the entire race as such. However, every people in Middle-earth that were not fair-skinned, Tolkien mentioned it. The Haradrim or the Easterlings, for instance, or the Orcs, for that matter. The only people who he did not describe skin color to were the peoples that lived in Middle-earth, where in real-world standards would be Western Europe, meaning they would predominantly and naturally be white. However, I do believe that Tolkien does describe darker-skinned dwarves at some point, or at least he describes dwarves at least 4 clans, which I said in my last video was the Iron Fists, Stiffbeards, Blacklocks, and Stonefoots, who traveled east to Rhûn, and he never designated their skin color or mentioned them at all in terms of such a thing. All we know of them is that they traveled east, some aided the Longbeards in the War of the Dwarves and Orcs, and many traveled westward once Sauron grew in power because the men of the region grew hostile. Yes, Bilbo met a few Iron Fists and maybe some others, but still. It would not be inaccurate, inherently, to make some of these dwarves darker-skinned. And since the map of the series is so large, we might have many Harad or Easterling characters, who would be darker-skinned, who could range from khaki-skinned to black. And they do not need to be evil either. There were many good-aligned Easterlings or Harads. The only reason why we see them being evil in The Lord of the Rings was because they were the ones Sauron convinced to attack Gondor. So, there are plenty of opportunities for people to be darker-skinned in Tolkien's Legendarium. Just not the elves, certain subgroups of men and dwarves, or the halflings that we know of. Now that that is out of the way, I also want to state that while I am more excited now about the series than I was a few weeks ago, I very much hope this will not be a Game of Thrones copy. I hope it will not be rife with backstabbing intrigue, or at least in such an abundance that intrigue and betrayal is the overarching genre of the show. I could go into all sorts of speculation on when the series will begin, or what we could expect, but I will now take this time to announce that soon I will make and release a video summarizing the entire Second Age of Middle-earth. So stay tuned for that in my channel. Okay everyone, thank you for listening. I hope to see you all soon. Please like or comment below and subscribe if you would like to see more from me. There will be a link in the description below on an article you might find helpful that critiques and scrutinizes the recent maps, and I appreciate you taking the time of your days to listen to me rambling. Also, I will make a video about this later, but just for you guys now, I'm going to link my Twitter page below so you can follow that if you feel like it. Alright, have a good one.